becoming more and more difficult, I think, to be healthy. Throughout all of human existence, we've never really lived a life of convenience. You can open a packet of whatever, mystery meat, chicken, whatever. I just can't get on board with it.
I'm Robin Johnson and this is Yours for the Making. And today I'm joined by Leon Driver from Booyah Vitality.
The kombucha, all of our products, it's all natural ingredients, more or less from their natural form. The dandelion coffee, for example, is pure dandelion root, which gets roasted, ground up into granules, and then we just roast those granules like in a normal coffee percolator.
Roasted dandelion root. And that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
This show is all about the makers, whether it's art, food, woodwork, metalwork, whether they're craftsmen or hobbyists. This show is all about making. But you work with, 3 other members of your family.
Yeah.
What's it like?
It's great to be able to do something you're working towards. This is mum and dad's retirement plan. This is the harder I work now, harder mum and dad works now, the better. It has its struggles, all families, argue here and there, but on the whole, I wouldn't change it for the world.
I'm Robin Johnson, this is Yours for the Making, and today I'm joined by Leon Driver from Booyah Vitality.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Leon.
Hey guys, which camera to look at?
Look at that one, or you can just look at me.
Lovely to be here in this lovely smelling workshop.
Yeah. Well, you know what, actually, your dad, I think, helped fit the flue for my log burner.
Yeah,
so.
I had to double check on that because it's a good job, isn't it?
Yeah, he's done a good job, yeah. You give him our thanks.
Definitely keeps it warm in here.
Oh, it does. And it's a nice cyclical thing because we obviously collect all the sawdust from all the machines. We compact it down in our pellet making machine and then we burn it.
Yeah.
And if we got excess, then we give it to Robbie from the fungi farm who grows mushrooms. So it's a nice little thing. We swap the bags for mushrooms and it works out quite nice.
How does the sawdust help grow mushrooms?
Well, he grows his mushrooms in the sawdust media. We give him the pellets. I think he kind of sterilises it or whatever and fills these bags and then impregnates them with the mycelium. I think that's the right thing. Yeah. And then, he's just got this room which is full of steam and these mushrooms are growing in there. It's quite cool when you go down there and have a look at it.
Yeah, it's really
But he
cool.
turns up here, to pick up some sawdust bags and he's got like mushrooms like this, lion's mane. It's just crazy,
Wow.
And also really tasty.
Yeah,
I think I was telling you the other day, if you cook it right, it tastes almost like a steak.
Yeah,
Similar sort of texture.
I need to really sort of indulge myself, I think, because I'm a bit skeptical right now. But
well, you know what? If you get them from Robbie, you know that they've been grown on top quality sawdust from this very workshop. So.
Yeah, Robbie, I'm coming for you.
So, Leon,
Kombucha.
Tell me all about it.
So, Booyah is a family-founded health drinks business. We have 4 kombuchas, 2 on the tables here, and 2 other health drinks: the Turmeric and Ginger Power Shot and dandelion coffee, which is a caffeine-free alternative. Yeah, my parents started it during COVID. Mum was making kombucha a little bit for her Pilates clients at the time. And Dad, unfortunately, was a deep-sea diver by trade and had been for decades, really good at his job. But unfortunately, during the lockdowns, he just couldn't get to where he needed to be in the world. He was working abroad. And so Mum was like, let's start making this. And they haven't really looked back from there. I was in Australia at the time and saw the potential. I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. And I've been joined in with the family venture since 2021.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it's great. It's a great product. It tastes amazing. And it's also really good for you. So it's nice to be able to improve the gut health of the people in the town and wider to the country as we scale.
Yeah, cool, man. So what exactly is it?
Kombucha?
Yeah.
Kombucha is tea. Essentially, it's
tea.
It's tea, yeah. There's live cultures in there though, which when we add a small portion of sugar, feeds off that sugar. That process of the live cultures feeding off the sugar ferments the product. So it's a live drink with lots of tiny little microbes in there, which are like good plants that you're putting into your gut. That's what probiotics are. They're the good plants. Mum uses this analogy, it's great. The prebiotics is what feeds the plants. It's like plant food, miracle grow for your gut, as you will. And the dandelion coffee is a really good prebiotic.
Right.
Anything like fruit and veg, are typically quite prebiotic-rich foods as well. So you need a balance of both, of probiotics and prebiotics, to really like have your gut health flourish.
So, I mean, gut health is something, it's almost like a buzzword at the moment.
Yeah, massively.
Every time I go home, my missus is like, oh, I listened to this podcast today and it's talked about this side of your gut health and we should try this diet and, we should try that supplement and stuff. But is it just a buzzword? Is it just a kind of a cool thing at the moment, or is it genuinely, it's going to have a massive impact on your life?
Whenever these words come into the mix, it automatically gets, it turns into a buzzword. People who have no idea what they're talking about start sort of chiming in, and it becomes bigger and more complicated than it really is. Take anything. If you boil it down though, for your optimum gut health, you need some sorts of prebiotics and probiotics. Gut health is such a complicated thing that my mum's a nutritional therapist by trade. She's the brains behind all the Booyah. She's the one who understands it. I'm just repeating a lot of the things she says and doing my own research, listening to my own podcast. And it is a pretty complicated topic if you're really like delving into the science, but keep it pretty simple, man. Like take a few probiotic sources, whether it's through a supplement or dietary sources. Kombucha is not the only option. You got kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha itself, kefir, all these different sources of like live cultured products that are really can improve your gut health. And from the results we've seen from our customers, people definitely have some improvement in their quality of life. So that's what we tend to base our judgment on, our customers.
And can you go too far with it? Like, could you neck that whole bottle and then have 10 kombuchas in a day, and then it goes the other way?
100%. If you're not used to kombucha as a live product, this is raw and left unpasteurized. You just drink 10 bottles of this, it's not going to be a good day. You're going to be burping this way, farting that way, and I don't want to get into the frankly, but I can, the family can, just because we drink kombucha on tap now. It's just always around the brewery. But if your gut's not used to this kind of product, it needs time to adjust. It's same with anything. If you don't drink milk and you just neck 4 pints of milk, it's not going to be a good day.
No, yeah.
But you got to ease your way into it. We say initially a bottle a day for kombucha at least, and then you can work your way up from there if you want to start having more. But I think a bottle a day for anyone is a pretty good dosage.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tasty stuff as well.
It's tasty stuff, yeah.
I'm a regular client, and that thing as well, the turmeric. I recently broke my collarbone, had surgery on it. My shoulder's quite swollen and stuff. Your mum recommended that.
Yeah.
And I think within a couple of hours of having the first double shot of that, the swelling went right down, and it became like part of my daily ritual. I wake up in the morning, I joke about it, but I feel like the amount of kind of health supplements and stuff, it's certainly now as I'm getting a bit older, I'm 40 now, and my missus, who's ever so slightly older than me, and I'll never let her live that down, but we're really kind of conscious about our health, and I guess a lot of people are since COVID as well, but the amount of kind of supplements and little bits of powder and tablets and drinks and stuff now that we take is quite funny, but I always make a joke about it that in the morning I pretty much rattle when I walk because I'm taking this supplement for that and that supplement for that.
Yeah.
But that thing, honestly, every morning it's part of the ritual of having a coffee, having a shot of turmeric, and then almost feeling the swelling kind of reduce in my shoulder. And it got to the point where I was having a double shot in the morning, and then sometimes at lunchtime of the weekend I'd have another double shot. But I've kind of tapered it off a little bit now because we started the keto, and it's that classic thing, isn't it? You get to sort of January, you maybe have eaten a little bit after Christmas, and again, that's another thing that's been on a few podcasts and stuff. And I thought, Zoe intermittently fasts. She's really good at it.
Yeah,
I get the hangry.
Really?
I can't do it. Every now and again I can do it, but it takes a lot because by sort of 10 o'clock, I'm ready to kill someone if I haven't eaten.
I feel that so much. So when I first started fasting, here and there, I was very carb dependent my whole life.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I started doing that, I went through a dark like hangry phase. But once you really sort of put a bit more trust in eating like higher fat content, like good sources of fats,
Yeah.
it definitely gets better. That's why I've sort of jumped on doing a bit more fasting now, is because if you make it through that initial like carbohydrate cloud, so to speak, it's worth it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the turmeric shots, we can't brand this like, oh, this is the magic potion, the source that will solve all the source of your problems. But this stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
And the people who come to us, whether it's from an injury, different aches and pains and ailments, it's night and day difference. It's really odd almost. Arthritis, especially just during the time of year when those aches and pains are really, people are feeling it more. I even recommended this to a scaffolder friend of mine who had just the worst inflammation in his hands. And he started using the turmeric, and it's just like, you saw like a before and after picture, and it was just like a inflated hand and a normal hand. It just doesn't make, I don't want to believe it sometimes. But,
yeah, but does that make him a worse scaffolder now? He's got small hands. Like.
Yeah, maybe. That's up to him and the firm, I think. But it's an incredible anti-inflammatory. I feel it. I take it myself every day. I get really bad neck pain from the sport I do. So that is just, it gets me out of bed in the morning, literally. Sometimes it's probably bad to say as at 26 years old, but when I'm 40, who knows? I'll definitely still be taking turmeric, that's for sure.
I'll give you a list of the stuff that I take. So when you get to my age, you can be ticking it all off. But it'll probably change by then, I think these things kind of come round and go around. And a lot of it, I think, I was thinking about it the other day, and I think social media has not a lot to do with it, but I think because there's so many different voices on social media, instead of just watching an advert and saying, you need to eat margarine because fat's bad, like in the 80s and 90s or whatever, you've got these people looking at scientific studies and saying, well, actually, if you stopped eating that ultra-processed food and you ate good fats and tallow and more meat and stuff like that, good meat, you'll be healthier. That wasn't the rhetoric sort of 20 years ago, was it? It was more about here's your was it the food pyramid or something they used to call it? And you look at that now, you're like, God, at the top of that pyramid's probably diabetes. But that accurate. Sort of 20, 30 years ago, that was what it was. We were all eating margarine and like white bread and stuff like that. And it's kind of it feels like it's coming full circle to what, I guess, for some people, how we would have lived prior to maybe processed food coming about after the Second World War, maybe. And I, for one, really like it. If we eat bread, we only eat sourdough and stuff. But it gets to a point, doesn't it? Like all the supplements and the gym and everything else, it gets to the point. Now, I saw a video the other day, which was quite funny. It was, a reel or something. There's a guy saying, right, hey guys, are we all still having our black coffee shots in the morning? Are we all still doing sauna but not pre-workout, only post-workout? Are we all still eating sourdough but with, are we all still cooking our chips and tallow and taking this and that and the other? And he listed off like 100 things. And I was thinking, that is the pressure, isn't it? You do kind of think, I need to be doing this because that person, human tells me I should be doing this. Paul Saladino says, only eat meat, don't eat any of this and stuff. You think, well, who's right? Because they're all giving quite compelling arguments and they're all giving really good scientific evidence for it all. But then at the same time, there's people who are vegan who are saying, look at all this scientific evidence. It's brilliant. I just eat, beans or whatever. And they, they're in really good shape as well. I guess what like humans got going for him, he's an absolute machine. If you want to be someone that's like fit, healthy and absolutely jacked, then you want to listen to the guy that looks like how you want to look.
I trust scientists who look great. Like, if you're a scientist telling me about something to do with diet and you look terrible, like your weight's in a certain way, you're pale and looking at, you look like you're in ill health and you're telling me about my health, I immediately just get super skeptical. It's just like an automatic red flag. But I think anything with health, especially when it's so complicated and bombarding all these different arguments, try them all. Work out what works for you. I tried going sort of vegan. I was thinking it was better for me and the environment at the time, and I felt awful. if I was going to be real with myself, it was just not a pleasurable time at all. And started introducing meat and from better sources, and just sort of woke up to it's not necessarily better or worse. I think if you want to be vegan and you can make that work for you, cool, be vegan, but don't tell me what to do. Yeah. And everyone's got to go on their own journey and figure it out for themselves, I think. But if someone's telling me, something about my health and they're coming from the perspective of looking and probably feeling awful, no, thank you. That's not how we go at Booyah, at least. But yeah, the kombucha, all of our products, it's all natural ingredients, more or less from their natural form. The dandelion coffee, for example, is pure dandelion root, which gets roasted, ground up into granules, and then we just roast those granules like in a normal coffee percolator. That's
really?
it.
Wow.
We just make it simple. All our kombucha flavors are 100% natural, from natural ingredients from their natural form. So we peel our cucumbers, we juice our limes, we juice our ginger ourselves. It's always not the most time efficient thing, but it gets the best quality products, and that's what the most important thing to us.
Do you know, I love that. Ingredients: filtered water, roasted dandelion root, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
Now, how often do you go into the supermarket and pick something up you think is a natural, healthy product, and you go, oh yeah, what are the ingredients?
25 things I can't pronounce.
Yeah, and the first 10 things you don't even know what they are. You know, it's not like again, filtered water, organic green tea, organic raw cane sugar, live culture, fresh cucumber, mint, and lime.
Yeah.
I know what all of those things are.
Simple.
And it's easy, isn't it? So again, we go through all these dietary phases, but the one thing that we've been kind of in the last 5 years, we completely cut out processed food, more for the kids than anything else. I mean, for us, for our health as well, but kind of noticing that, if we had those things in the freezer, like not turkey Twizzlers, but the same, whatever the dinosaur shaped bits of chicken, maybe they might have been once.
Mystery meats.
Yeah. Well, it depends where you bought it from. But yeah, if you have those things and like the Twizzly pigtail fries or whatever, and if you got them in the freezer of an emergency or something, you just think, oh, quickly, I'll throw one of them in, or a load of them in. It almost becomes a habit, and then you buy them again, and then maybe once a fortnight, maybe once a week, you're doing that. And we're just thinking, you know what, the kids actually really like it. But it's when you do the research into it, it's not because it really, I mean, it may taste nice to them, but it's because it's got chemicals in that are hardwired into their brain to tell them that they need to eat more of it. Yeah. It's like Pringles, isn't it?
Yeah.
You start eating one and it turns a switch in your brain that says you've got to eat more. And like, I mean, I'm not super old. I'm 40. I still think that's maybe young, but a bit older than you. But I remember when I was growing up around here in Hastings as a kid, and like people all kind of looked the same, as in everyone's quite slim, everyone was fairly active and stuff, but
not today.
I mean, I love the town. I love this town, but when you walk through the town centre, it is very different.
It's frustrating. And it's becoming more and more difficult, I think, to be healthy. Yeah. We live in everyone's working harder and harder and the push, you're drawn to these areas of convenience, and that is in the food department, at least, it's awful for you. And throughout all of evolution, throughout all of human existence, we've never really lived a life of convenience. Life has been very difficult to eat food and find, whether it's hunting an animal or finding fruit and veg. It's been very, very, very difficult. And now when you can open a packet of whatever, mystery meat, chicken, whatever, to put in the oven, which who knows what's in there. I just can't get on board with it.
But it's even further than that, because even in the 90s, you'd have to walk to the supermarket to get it. Whereas now you can sit there and go, I'm hungry.
Yeah, tap a button.
10 minutes later, something's at your door, and sometimes you got healthy options, but more often than not, that is a mystery meat and in a nice sugary bun. And I think It doesn't sort of frustrate me, but because I don't get out that often, you know. I'm in here all the time, or I'm at home with my family. But when we do go out, I'm kind of like, wow, you know, because we live in this bubble of like health almost. We try and live in this bubble of health. You know, don't get me wrong, she loves chocolate, but but we do live in this kind of bubble where we're trying to just eat nice ingredients, drink kombucha and stuff. We drink kefir. We drink it. We tried making it.
Yeah, tough to make. It gets explosive.
Tough to drink when you've made it yourself.
Yeah.
At least the ones you buy. The ones you buy, at least they don't make you vomit when you smell them. You know, you can smell them and go, oh, that almost smells a bit sweet, and it's quite nice. But oof,
Was it room temperature or in the fridge?
I can't remember. It might have been in the fridge. I'm not sure. But
Mum used to make it, and at room temperature, I was like, whoa, this is a bit full on. But having it at the fridge when it was right, it was pretty good. Like, or adding it to some yogurt with a bit of honey and some fruit or whatever. But yeah, room temperature kefir that's like proper fermented is.
Oh, it's turning my stomach just thinking about it.
eyes are watering.
Yeah, I think that it brings back a memory. That. But you know, I don't mind a shop bought one. But then, you know, kefir, kombucha even, they're not all created equal. I don't think.
Absolutely not.
Because I could drink yours all day long. It's really, really nice, and often I do drink it all day long. But I've had an experience where I was flying up to Scotland to film something. I was at an airport, stopped in, thought, oh, what's a healthy drink I could buy? And like, I think it was Marks and Spencer's. They were selling kombucha in a can. I thought, oh, I'll try that. Drank it, got on the airplane. 20 minutes later, I'm on the airplane, like, oh my God, what has happened?
Yeah,
and I couldn't understand it. But then I was thinking about it, thinking, well, the only thing that could have influenced that is that can of drink, because everything else I'd done was exactly the same. And it got me thinking, like, are all kombuchas created equal?
absolutely not.
No.
It's very easy to cut corners of making kombucha, and as you're scaling, I guess, you know, how can we cheapen ingredients there? How can we use natural flavoring in a product? I don't really know what that is. When natural flavoring that isn't from a natural form. Like, if it's not lime juice from limes, but it says natural lime juice, like what? I don't really know what that is. It's some kind of, you know, processed syrup from derivative of lime. So yeah, well, there's definitely a place. I'm happy there are industry leaders with kombucha, because, you know, we need to push the market on a wider scale, and people need to know what kombucha is on that kind of level. But it's unfortunate that a lot of people's entry into the drink is like not good.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, tummy rumbling or it's just tastes horrendous. I will say, in a can, I get it. To make, you know, kombucha for the supermarket, you may have to be working with certain margins. It may have to be made in a can, but a dark glass bottle is the way for kombucha, at least, to retain all the vitamins.
Really?
Aluminium, look, this is how much you want to go into health and stuff. Aluminium is a neurotoxin. So however long that liquid is in the aluminium itself, it's going to be tainting the product to a degree. The best way to keep all the vitamins and minerals is in a dark glass bottle. That comes with its limiting factors, however, because a lot of companies won't take glass. You can't take glass bottles to festivals or anything like that. So it's, you know, it comes, it's pros and cons, but yeah, and you got to weigh up, is the small part, you know, tiny bit of a neurotoxin in the aluminium can worth it for the kombucha, or for the quality of the kombucha? You're doing all these mental maths all the times. I've had a couple of, you know, decent kombuchas that are from a can, like from a supermarket, but they're few and far between, and a lot of them are, yeah, just not what that is. The amount of people who come to us saying, "Oh, I've tried kombucha, but I don't like it. It's not really my thing. Made me feel this, tasted like that," and then our eyes light up. Like, oh, it's an opportunity to convert somebody almost. And yeah, they taste ours maybe with a bit hesitant, and 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh, this is different. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all.
So talk me through the process then. Obviously yours is special. It's made special. It's in a brown glass bottle, but you say it's made from tea with an ingredient. Do you literally sit down there, have a big kettle boiling up tea and then filling up bottles with it? I mean, what's the process
almost,
of it?
in a way. So we have organic green tea. We make a massive cup of tea, essentially. Imagine a massive cup of tea and add a portion of sugar. Once that's then cooled down, it has to be cooled down, otherwise it will kill anything live in there. We add a portion of the live cultured liquid. That's called the first fermentation. That also gets made up of sugar and tea and water, filtered water, always. When that portion gets added to first fermentation, added to the tea, it over time ferments the whole liquid. That portion of first fermentation that's the important part, essentially. And then we add the flavors, whether it's the lime juice or the ginger juice, put it in a massive tank, carbonate it ourselves, and it's pretty much bottled from there on. We're not overcomplicating it at all.
And you were saying earlier about sort of peeling your own cucumbers. Are you literally down there peeling them all, squeezing them up to make the cucumber juice and stuff?
Yeah. It's quite time consuming, but we've experimented with how can we shorten this process? How can we, cut corners to maybe save some money? But ultimately, cucumbers themselves from the natural source, the actual cucumber, is the best way. And it just complements, at least with the cucumber, mint and lime flavor. There's no other way we found so far. I'm open to ideas, guys. There's no other way so far we can really match that quality of product.
Interesting. Yeah. Is it a bit like sourdough? Because that's kind of how sourdough, you have that, your first kind of, I can't remember the name of it. It's like the starter. Yeah. So your first fermentation is a bit like the starter.
Similar, yeah. But the first fermentation will go through each batch, so to speak, in a certain time period, because the longer you leave it, the sort of more maturer it gets. So we tend to leave ours a little bit longer than the average kombucha brewers, I guess, because we like that mature flavor with our kombucha, and so do our customers. That's what the sort of spectrum we lean on. But after a certain time period, it gets quite bitter and too acidic. So each batch of first fermentation we make is all consumed by the bottles in a certain time period.
Okay. And has it got a shelf life? When you've bottled it, does it kind of get stronger as you leave it in there?
So if you were to leave this on this table, after a few days, I'd be a bit worried. After maybe a week, couple weeks, the lid might start to raise. I think in the first year, Mum and Dad started selling these on Hastings Pier. There was 4 bottles of the flavors on the front shelf that were always left in the sun. I didn't really think about it. Over the course of the summer, the lids were literally raised because there's so much pressure building up in there. It's a live product. It's always growing and fermenting. In the fridge, from the date that this is made, 6 months.
In the fridge?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess because the enzyme, is it an enzyme in there, or is it the microbes?
Yeah, the live cultures and microbes, yeah.
But does it kill them when they're in the fridge, or are they just kind of dormant?
They're just quiet. They're not as, they're a bit sleepy.
Fine.
And if you leave them out, the warmer this gets up to a certain point, it will, you're going to preserve them by being in the fridge, essentially, just like anything.
But you keep them, they're still alive, though.
They're still there,
So you can keep it in the fridge for 6 months, drink it whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good.
Yeah, you could probably have it afterwards as well. I had one that was, I think, 8 months out of date. I was like, oh, it'll be fine. It wasn't fine.
No.
all the sugar any sugar that's been in there has been absorbed by the fermentation process that's happening all the time. So there's no sweetness in there at all. It's just pure. It was very acidic, and it wasn't a good.
Like a bottle of wine that's been corked.
Yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Interesting. So, your mum started doing this. I mean, you didn't just take a unit on in COVID and say, right, we're doing this. Was she? Exactly. Were you doing it in the kitchen, or?
Started in the garage.
In the garage?
Started in the garage.
Was it like demijohns and stuff, like a home brewery?
We literally still have a demijohn
really
on the roof of the office. Yeah, it's like almost like memorabilia. Weird thing, demijohns. Yeah, it started in the garage, moved to the back of a friend's bingo hall. We sort of converted a unit in the back of a friend's bingo hall. Very narrow, not much space at all. I'm 6'7", my dad's about 6'5". There's a lot of sort of shuffling like this. But it worked at the time, and in August 2022, we moved into the unit behind yours just here, which has been great. So much space there. But yeah, it was definitely a steep jump quite quickly. And we didn't really anticipate initially, like, oh, we're gonna have to kit all this out with our own electricals, all our own plumbing. So that set us back quite a bit. But since then, it's been good going, and we can definitely see like a good future still at that unit, especially as there's the option for like a mezzanine floor as well. So once the floor's kitted out, so to speak, we can put the offices like upstairs. I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah, it'd be good, man. I mean, just from watching your kind of expansion, when you first moved in, it was like you, your mum, your dad, and your sister. And then, you know, there's a few new faces now, and you're training up George, aren't you?
George is pretty much good to go. Good to go now. He's I don't really need to ever. I help him out here and there, but George handles the brewing. He's really good at it now. And we have Tibby as well, who's like our accounts manager for like the business accounts. But she's a bit of a jack of all trades. She's
great actually, because she the same. Come from the same sort of background as your mum.
So she's also a naturopathic nutritional therapist, like my mum. So anyone who's coming to the shop desk to buy some kombucha or they just have a few questions, Tibby's there, just like throwing the information out, and but in a way that people actually understand, because she has that in-depth knowledge and the certificate to prove it.
I had an interesting conversation with your mum and Tibby at the same time when I came in to get some turmeric. Your mum was saying, "Oh yeah, you know, eating meat's really good for your healing and stuff like that, for your muscle growth and everything else." And Tibby's like, "No."
Oh, really?
Vegetable, yeah, no, you know, vegan's probably the way to go. And then I kind of stepped back and I could hear this just kind of, your mum, well, I don't think they were arguing, but Tibby's like, no, you know, all of the people I know, they're going more towards veganism now, especially for health and stuff like that. And your mum's like, no, red meat. So it's another example of like who you're listening to. Where do you draw the line at, like, knowing, I guess you never know, you probably hit the nail on the head perfectly actually, because you got to just try everything and find out what works for you.
Yeah, absorb as much of sources of information as you can and make your own decision rather than just listen to one or two sole sources. Just, you know, use your brain. Be a grown-up.
But that's what's good about this kind of modern age. There's so much access to information. There's so many people sharing so much information online, on social media or whatever, and books as well. Don't forget the good old books. That there's this wealth of information that you can kind of draw from and then make your own decisions, I guess. But sometimes I think, like I was saying, I've started the keto and stuff, and that we kind of rolled into it gently. But then I realised how many things I can't have. Anything with any kind of sugar or carb or anything like that. And, you know, the first week or so I was like, oh, this is all right, you know, and noticed the change like almost immediately. I remember walking out the shower one morning, looking in the mirror and going, oh my God, look.
What, in a good way? Or
in a good way. I was like, oh my God.
Nice.
I knew I had a six-pack in me. It's probably malnutrition, but but like straight away noticed the difference. But then after that first kind of week, I was just started to really, I was in that, what you described as like the dark, carbless kind of hanger. But then after that, it was all right, because I was kind of tapering off the foods, even things like carrots, you know, can't eat carrots and stuff. So, really. I mean, luckily, I love eating meat. I love steak, love eggs, avocados, fantastic. But like bananas, I miss bananas.
Yeah. They're gone. Yeah, it's so important if you're doing the whole keto thing, is up your fats. Yeah. Just have a packet of pistachios there. Just
exactly.
Snacking all
cashews.
The time. Yeah, cashews.
Avocado, great source.
Yeah, of course.
And prawns. But here's the thing, like, love eating prawns, really good, loads of fat. Listened to a podcast where someone was telling the host how bad it was to eat prawns because they're
heavy
bottom
metals
feeders
or something.
Yeah, no, that's another thing.
It's the thing, like, if you enjoy prawns, eat your prawns. With anything, but you just got to make your own decision on these things. Unfortunately,
is mackerel as well and oily fish. Yeah, have loads of oily fish, but don't have too much oily fish because of the mercury. And
exactly.
Thinking, what do I need to do?
I know there's no winning, and I think there's data to sort of prove any point out there, whether meat's bad, veggies are bad, don't eat fish, eat fish. So, like I said, like, make your own decision. Yeah, if you like prawns, but apparently prawns are terrible for you, who cares? I'm going to enjoy prawns still, especially in this town.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the smoker's excuse, isn't it? I like smoking, so I'm going to smoke. But it's bad for you. But
yeah.
You said earlier about your neck injury from your sport.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? How do you do it?
I do Jiu-Jitsu. It's
I know
it's just a lot of toll. It's never really been. I've tweaked it here and there, but it's a lot of people just pulling your head down and you're.
Well, it's basically sweaty men trying to kill you, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's quite hard to. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell to other people. I've had probably 8 friends come try, and no one's trying to beat them up or anything. If it's your first session, it's pretty easy going. Only one came back for a second session, and
really?
It's not really been. So it's a tough sell, but the people who love it, I've been hooked for 2 years now, and you pick up niggles here and there, and the neck's a bit sore, but it's worth it for what you get out of it for sure.
But you've only really been doing it 2 years.
Yeah.
But you are the current European bronze medalist for Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've been quite obsessed for a good 2 years, and I grew up doing a sport. I grew up swimming and found swimming quite boring, but I was there every night training, and so now I'm doing something that I actually enjoy. It's just so easy to just spend an hour and a half there each night. So when you put work in, you tend to get results. And it's as simple as that, really. But yeah, I went to the Euros in Rome last September, which I just didn't really think that's the sort of thing to do, like compete internationally for a new sport I'm doing. But came out with a bronze, a little bit annoyed.
Annoyed that you were the 3rd best person in the whole of Europe.
Yeah, I'll take it for now, but next year I'll definitely be going. Gold is happening, and then going to Vegas as well for the Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at blue belt level for my ultra heavyweight division, it will be hopefully gold at the Euros and gold at Worlds. Yeah. It's funny to say ultra heavy.
Yeah.
Ultra
massive.
The highest weight bracket.
And then, like, I've got a few other friends who do jiu-jitsu, and they fall into one of 2 categories. I've never done it, so I don't know, but it's either gi or no gi.
Oh, yeah.
What are you?
So for people who don't know, gi is when they wear like the pajamas, like the
pajamas.
Yeah, pajama party.
The karate suit.
Kung fu. Yeah, it's the kimono, it's the gi pants and the gi top and a belt. And gi is it can be a bit slower because it's a lot more friction. So you're pulling each other a lot more. You're not going to get as sweaty because you're going to get sweaty, but there's the gi's in the way. No gi is it's slippery, First point, it's slippery. You're just wearing kind of like trunks and a rash guard, and yeah, you're going to be exchanging a lot of sweat. Like I said, it's a tough sell.
But it's a bit more primal, isn't it?
A bit more primal. It's a lot faster. You can slip out of things a lot easier. And I tend to do a lot more no-gi. I enjoy both. But no-gi, the timing of the sessions just work better with my schedule at the minute. So I do a lot more no-gi. I do gi as well, but yeah, it's not a divide, but it's definitely a little bit of
Is gi a bit more sort of traditionalist and
yeah, definitely.
They're kind of highly regarded.
Yeah.
Is gi like shortboard, no gi's the longboard?
Yeah, very similar. But yeah, jiu-jitsu, man, running your own business, I'm sure you appreciate the stress builds up. You have problems here and there. there's no better reliever of stress. It's just going to see the guys and the girls at the mats at the end of the day, and there's no better reliever of stress. It's so good. You just come out and all the anxieties from the day is just washed off you, and you can just go home and sleep well. But it's a fantastic environment of all these maybe like dysfunctional people perhaps, but you have law enforcement, like police officers there, people who are like quite dodgy, to say the least.
We say no more?
Yeah, say no more. Rich people who have barely any money, and they're just all together under this one roof and, training hard together and having a great time. And it's this weird, diverse little hub. And I'm so glad I found it, especially at the gym I'm at, Novo BJJ. Give me a follow. Yeah.
And what else? I mean, do you train? Is that taking up all of your time now, or are you training kind of outside of that?
Outside of jiu-jitsu, I might lift weights twice a week, try to fit in a run here and there. But just feeling fit to me is really important. Keeps me sane. And jiu-jitsu is the main focus, but outside of that, I don't really have time for another sport, really, especially while you're running my own business with my family. It's just not the time for it, essentially. But if I had the resources and the funds, I could definitely see myself getting back into mountain biking at some point.
Yeah?
Yeah,
for
sure.
Well, I mean, I love it, but it's put me out of every other sport for the last 9 months nearly with the broken collarbone. But
for sure.
I've surfed twice now, so I'm getting there, but I still paddle like Nemo, this arm I can't quite get out of the water back to, But I still caught a few waves last time. I haven't completely lost everything still now. A little bit rusty, but...
Yeah, I forgot to even mention like surfing.
Well, I haven't seen down the beach so long. I wondered if you've forgotten that you do it.
Got me. No, it's just Hastings is inconsistent, and when it's on, it's on. But again, work takes charge a lot of the time, but if I'd love the opportunity to get away to have more waves, but it is what it is. Yeah, there'll come the day.
Yeah, but, exactly. It does come back round. When I first started my business. I was really lucky. I had a workshop right by the pier, so if it was cooking and I could afford to get away and have a little wave, I'd go for a little surf and then maybe work a bit later or do a few hours earlier the next day or something. Yeah. But it got to a point as we were getting busier and busier, that was happening less and less and less, and I was working more and more and more. And then, especially kind of in the last few years, although we've got a good team here, and got a good management structure and stuff here as well, so I can dip out. It's been good when I've been doing the telly. I can just nip out for a couple of days or whatever. If there's waves, the only thing that gets me now is, well, apart from the injury, but what gets me now is I've got a room up there that is like full of surfboards, and I think that maybe it probably isn't the best thing if we're really busy, and then I just swan out of that room with a couple of boards under my arms. See you later, guys. I'm off to the beach, and I've got 10 blokes in here working really hard, and I just swan off with a wetsuit over my shoulder. So what I do is pack up the van the night before if I know it's going to be on the list. Down, like, see you guys.
That's cool. You don't want to like put it in people's faces.
No, exactly that. And I try and always be like a considerate employer, and I think that just it's not the best.
Bit of a dick move.
Yeah. There was a couple other things that I wanted to talk about with you, Leon, and one of them is that you work with your family, and you're not the first person on the podcast that works with their family. I did a little bit of work with my dad for a little while, but I'll be honest, I think any longer, and I might have been on some kind of charge. But you work with, 3 other members of your family.
Yeah.
What's it like?
It has it's the pros and cons, isn't it? It feels like a blessing and a curse sometimes. On the whole, I love it. And it's great to be able to do something you're working towards. This is mum and dad's retirement plan. This is the harder I work now, harder mum and dad works now, the better the last 20, 30 years of their life's going to be, which is a pretty cool thing to think about. Yeah. 20, 30, 40. Who knows?
Depends how much kombucha they drink.
Yeah, it depends on how much kombucha. But it has its struggles. All families, argue here and there, but on the whole, I wouldn't change it for the world. We have it's not even a pecking order I think about. It's people, dad chimes in more here, mum chimes in more here. I might get ahead of myself. Mum reins me in. But yeah, mum's a great CEO. She's she's founder of the business, and yeah, I wouldn't change it at the minute. It's great to be able to work with your family. I was thinking the other day actually, how many other of my age group get to spend this much time with their folks? It's not many of my friends at least. And or age group for that matter. I saw something on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and this guy who lived away from his parents, and the guest said, how much longer do you reckon your parents have got? And he said, well, I don't know, maybe 20 years at a push. And how many times, the guy said, do you see him a year? And the guy said, oh, twice a year, because I don't live. So you're only going to see your parents 40 more times. That's, when you boil things down to numbers, that is a heavy statistic. And it's something you can change very easily. And so, families, it's not going to be fair weather sailing all the time, but I'm really grateful to be able to be around my family a lot in Hastings. And yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world.
You mentioned Hastings. It's, it's one of these places, isn't it? I mean, yeah. I grew up here. I love it here.
Yeah.
But it is a special kind of place. And I think it's like it's a town of two tales, isn't it? You've got like one end of the town that you probably wouldn't by choice go to, and then the other end of the town that you'd spend all day there if you could. But what I really have enjoyed seeing is more and more bottles of kombucha popping up in loads of different places. I mean, who's your kind of market? Who are you sort of selling to and stuff?
So probably more females, about 80% females roughly. But I think that's just because women tend to make the healthier choices for the family, at least, like in our experience anyway. Would you say the same?
I think so. I mean, I make pretty healthy choices, but
yeah.
Zoe will listen to all the health podcasts and stuff, and then modify our diet. I just eat what's put in front of me.
Yeah, that's my point, really.
Yeah.
So for that reason, like, it's probably more women who are our buyers, around like 30 to 55 years of age, typically like working professionals looking to make healthier choices for their family. Yeah, it's not that. It's not a a product that's only for a certain type of person. It is for anyone, but that's our typical customer. And it's lucky that there's a lot of those people around in my local town.
And I'm seeing it in more cafes and pubs. I actually saw it in a pub the other day.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not a bad alternative.
Yeah. The problem with the pubs is typically, you order your pint here and the fridges are all down there.
So you don't see it.
Yeah. So I usually see it because, I'm a behemoth. But if you're normal height or on the short side, you're probably not going to even see what's in the fridge.
You need to give them a load of empty bottles for display.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to get those display bottles out. But we're in a lot of I think we're like 120 odd different businesses around the southeast, and
really
a good 70, I want to say, is around the Hastings, Bexhill, St Leonard's area.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, we're densely populated in the local town.
Nice. Yes. So what's next? What's your plan for growth? Your plan for expansion? How are you going to take over the world?
So, we just started outsourcing the bottling and packaging for the kombucha, at least for these two flavors, which is awesome because the bottling and the packaging it's very labor intensive, and now we can send off about an hour and a half away a flavor of lemon ginger, a flavor of cucumber, mint, and lime. In a big bucket, essentially. It's all sealed, don't worry. And someone else will bottle it and package it for us, and we get the boxes back, which is great. So that's saved a lot of time. That means we can now make bigger orders. If a larger company wanted, X amount of kombucha, we can now fit that because we have the capacity for it. So that's awesome. It's taken a lot of pressure off us for like having to do all of the bottling. Because that last summer we were at max capacity and barely cutting it for making everyone's kombucha orders. The next thing we need a bigger cool room is to store it all. it's the store at all. But yeah, we're just starting to do a lot more community engagement events and putting on health, like wellness events for the community, and trying to scale that, hoping to go to different towns as well, so people can sort of interact with Booyah, so to speak. Quite hot on the social media as well. Booyah Vitality on Instagram and Facebook, TikTok as well, which isn't as big yet. But yeah, so social media is our main sort of revenue media outlet. But yeah, and our newsletter as well, actually.
I like that. Sunday morning, I wake up,
Yeah,
read a little bit about health. I think actually it probably influences me to make a healthier choice as I come down the stairs after reading it at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I think, oh, what should I have for breakfast? Well, not that. And then Leon said this, so I'll try a bit of this. But I really like that, actually. I think that's, you know, I see all this stuff on social media, but it's the Sunday morning letter that, you know, I read that one and the Finisterre when they come through at the same sort of time, so I can, you know, read about surfing and what's going on in Cornwall, and then what's healthy. You know, it's quite nice, actually.
It keeps me accountable as well, as for learning about more healthy things, hormones or diet, whatever it is. And it's hard to sort of grasp if people like it, because it's a newsletter. It goes out, and I can see maybe if an order comes through from it, or people have clicked on it. But other than that, it's hard to really tell if so-and-so enjoyed the read on this date or whatever. So yeah, it's good to hear feedback from yourself. That's good to hear. Thank you.
And I guess the essence of this podcast is I get to meet interesting people, but it's I like to talk to people who have made something. You know, you make kombucha, you've grown a business. But people that are listening, they might be in a position where they want to try something. They want to try a new craft, or they want to start making something, or maybe they've got an idea and they're thinking, well, how do I scale it? You know, what advice would you give to someone listening or watching who has got an idea and they kind of want to see if it's got legs, or they've started making something or building something, and they're thinking about maybe taking it to market or something? What advice were you given, or maybe what advice weren't you given that you wish you were given?
Just start. Stop planning and getting everything right and bish bash bosh. Just start, and then test and measure as you go. You're going to fail. It's inevitable. Failing's good. Develop a good relationship with failing. The more you fail, the more you're learning. And then as you're learning, keep testing, keep measuring. And yeah, I wouldn't overcomplicate it really. Just start, and then test and measure as you go. Because test and measure is such an important part of business. If you can't measure your progress, there's no way of telling if you're going in the right direction. And I've definitely been guilty of that, of not tracking, key KPIs, key performance indicators here and there, not tracking this, that, and the other, which I should be. And then you're essentially you're pissing in the wind. You don't really know where you're going.
Yeah.
So yeah, just start. It's not going to be perfect. The most important thing is you execute. So just start, and then test as you go.
Just do something, even if it's the wrong thing, because you'll learn that it's the wrong thing. So then you can do the right thing. Yeah,
but people want to get things perfect before they release, which I hear that. There's definitely an argument there, but I think if you're planning for the 6 months, additionally, whereas if you just start now and you fail for 6 months, I think you have a better product 6 months down the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a failing fan.
I am as well. Yeah. I've had a lot of failures.
Yeah, I think all business owners have to be.
Yeah, I mean, unless you just found the magic golden unicorn and you've ridden it all the way up. I think everyone's failed a lot. Yeah. Some of the best, most successful businesses, craftspeople, artists, they've all failed a lot.
Professional failure.
Yeah, that is it's the lessons you remember the most is from a failure. When I used to be a teacher, I'd encourage the kids to try, because if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. But you'll remember better that lesson if you got it wrong, because you'll remember that sort of the pain of getting it wrong, and that will kind of force you to do it right next time. Yeah. Whereas if you just get taught, this is the way you do it like that, you'll never know the reason for doing it right. Yeah. Because the reason for doing it right is say, oh my God, I don't get it wrong again, because I've been through that and have that like pain as a memory. I guess that's good advice, actually.
Yeah. Like surfing, if you want to be even able to surf. You're going to fail for so long.
Do you know what? That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
I think surfing probably prepared me for starting a business more than anything else, because you're completely right. I think I didn't have lessons or coaching or anything like that. When I started surfing at Hastings Pier, there was maybe 4 other people that surfed, which is, crazy now.
What year was that, roughly?
Oh, mate, it's when it was black and white still.
Crikey.
I think I must have been 11. I think I saw people surfing, went to South Africa for the winter and came back, saw people surfing over there. I bought a bodyboard over there, and I was bodyboarding at our spot from 11 and getting absolutely annihilated all the time. Surfing in a summer wetsuit with like holes in it.
Yeah.
Taking like Monday to Wednesday off school because I was sick with a cold. Going in Thursday and Friday to show willing, surfing a weekend again and getting a cold in the chills and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I was bodyboarding maybe for a year or 2 years, and then I got a surfboard probably 15. So what's that? 6 years ago. 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been surfing at the pier 25 years.
Wow.
And sports, you know.
Yeah.
But I think I took maybe 6 months to a year of paddling out, get on a massive, big, hard paddling out, getting absolutely annihilated.
Destroyed.
And I think it was probably 6 months in where I stood up, the first time and rode a wave all the way in. But then, in my 20s, I was a surf coach, and I'd coach people that had no experience of like surfing, bodyboarding, swimming, anything. And within an hour, I'd get them standing up.
So rewarding that.
Yeah.
Where were you a surf coach?
All over sort of Devon, Cornwall. I was living in Australia, had a surf camp over there as well,
Nice.
but mainly Croydon and Willicombe.
Yeah.
That's where I spent a lot of time. But then when I moved over to WA, we had a surf camp in Lancelin, just north of Perth. Good little beach there. Yeah, some fun guys, over there.
Sharky?
Yeah. Saw quite a lot of sharks. I'll tell you a story about sharks, right? So the worst thing that can ever happen to a surf school is, or apart from a shark attack, obviously, is that, someone spotted a shark on that beach, because no one will want to come in for a lesson on the beach that was on the news for having a shark spotting, right? So anyway, the owner of the surf school, was like, if you see a shark, just pull people out of the water. Just don't tell them why, just tell them lessons over. I was like, okay, cool. Really busy day. It was like Australia Day, and that's a big holiday over there. Everyone's going mad. We had like 4 coaches. I was the head coach, kind of overseeing everything. I had 4 coaches, 40 people in the water in this kind of big semicircle at the beach. Anyway, so I come up on the dune, have a quick look over, and I see some 2 big fins over there, going like that, and then on the other side of the semicircle, 2 big fins going like that. Oh my God, this isn't good. And I watched these sharks kind of circling around the perimeter of where the group was. So I called everyone in. I was like, right, guys, I'm just gonna get you all to line your boards up, and we're just gonna practice on the beach again, just to build that muscle memory and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, fine. I think we'll get away with this, because it's near the end. Everyone's a bit tired anyway. The wind's picked up. It's not great. Anyway, everyone's on the beach. And then this one kid, everyone's looking at me, and I just see this one kid going like that. And then I see him nudging his mum and dad. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? And then the 2 things that happened almost exactly at the same time, this huge great white, like breached and got fish. And then at the same time, this other great white chased the fish pretty much through the shore break onto the beach and swam back in, just as this like kid had nudged his parents. And all 3 of them turned around and they're like, and I kind of looked at him, I was like, yeah, swordfish. I called her out because, because I just remember my boss's words in my head, like, no sharks. If you see a shark, no one sees a shark, because that's it, game over. We'll be dead for the rest of the season. That'll be the business gone. But I was like, yeah, see that swordfish? There are a few of them around, and they're dangerous. They can cut your leg. Yeah. I think we'll get out now, and like there's a few mutterings then. And then the other thing that happened on that day, right? We had a trailer. It's like a trailer with all the boards piled on in the car park. And we walked back up to the trailer, and there's like the whole car park stank. It's just this dense smell of like death. I thought, this is like an ominous sign. I don't know what's happened. It was like a putrid stink bomb or something. Anyway, loaded all the boards onto the trailer. They all walked over to where the surf camp was opposite. As I pulled the trailer away, I was like, oh, I think there's like an oil leak in the van or something. I wonder what's going on. So I could see in the mirror this like weird sort of oil leak. So I stopped the van, looked underneath, no oil leak, turned around, looked behind. There was like a 9-foot snake that had slithered under the trailer. Or maybe I'd run it over parking the trailer in the morning and died and absolutely cooked in the midday sun.
No.
It was like, whoa.
Fermented snake.
Oh, yeah. Any kombucha in that?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the new thing.
Snake
Next year's
kombucha.
health kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, surf coaching was a real good thing to do to, to meet people. As a young single man, it was also quite advantageous, and travel the world and but surfing as a sport, I think it does teach you failure and to embrace it and to learn from it and stuff. And actually, I've employed, mutual friends that we've got who've been surfers and stuff, and they just get on with it. They're hard workers. Yeah, most of them. Yeah. The ones that are good, and I think it's sports like that, and probably like jiu-jitsu, they teach you a hard lesson very quickly, and you learn that lesson again and again, and you're humbled by it. Whereas there's a lot of other sports that, you don't have that kind of humbling, and it's almost like you get to a point you get humbled for so long, and then one day it just clicks and you can do it, but you'll still get humbled often. I think
I recommend that so highly to any guy with a big ego. I've got an ego, nothing in the world would get done. Nothing in the world would get done without ego, I think. Yeah. But you have to tame it. You have to humble yourself. You've got to control it. And something like surfing and jiu-jitsu for someone like myself is just perfect. It keeps me human. Yeah. I think the same, actually. I know if it's, if it's been a big day and I've got out with my tail between my legs, I think actually that's probably a good thing. It's so important. Yeah. Because I've also got an ego, and it sort of levels me out a little bit. I think it is quite an important thing, and it's something that we're really fortunate. It doesn't pump it all the time, but we're really fortunate that we've got occasionally access to a little wave down here, and waves without too much of a drive a bit further west. So. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Nice to talk about surfing for a change. Yeah, true. Well, Leon, thanks ever so much for coming on. It's been really interesting, and I really look forward to watching you in the unit behind kind of grow and grow and grow. You as well, man. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's nice one.